And we're back, y'all, for another edition of the Fitting the Bill podcast. I'm your host, Bill Shake. Will Shake for Money on Instagram. Still working on the YouTube component. Today is a special episode because we are doing video and audio. So I'm just trying to spice things up, trying to hit it big. And we're just trying to give another platform. We have our Chicago picture in the background to make it special. It's where we're from. And I got the New York Knicks apparel on as they are the champions. And I did kind of, you know, hop on the bandwagon as of a little bit last year. But we can get into that. And then we got our Rise Up coffee hat from Delaware. Hi, Kelsey. And yeah, we're just trying to do it. Hopefully, Rise Up Coffee wants to sponsor me. That'd be chill. The best coffee in Rehoboth, Delaware. My hopefully new neck of the woods. Anyways, today's episode is changing the guard. Um, it is 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, motherfuckers. And it's the big 250. I will say that the 250 has been ruined by our big buffoon with his birthday bash and State Fair. God, that ruined a state fair, that's for sure. But I don't want to get too political. Changing of the guard is as we cross over, we're moving over to the new. It's the halfway point of the year. Been off a little bit from this podcast, and just trying to move fresh and changing of the guard in our special NBA edition as well. I will say from a personal standpoint, we've tried to move just progress in where we're at. As I had mentioned, I've been out a little bit from a work injury. So just trying to get back and healthy, come back stronger than ever. I've been working out, just trying to get my mind and body on the right track to just be the best version of myself for life and for my career so I can, get back in it for the long haul. It's definitely been a tough journey away. So that's the personal standpoint in the world as well. I would like to say the changing of the guard is definitely, I just want to mention it just because it's been interesting for me is the reflection pool. It's one of my favorite spots in Washington, D.C., one of my favorite spots in the country, has been since I lived there in 2020. Used to run to the Lincoln Memorial, sit up on the steps, and just be able to look at that beautiful view. Um, and it just was special. It showed such a spot of peace and beauty and tranquility in the world that we don't have. And now it's murky, it's barricaded, it's broken. We have Olympians getting arrested. And I think it just shows that the changing of this country is rather than taking accountability inward, we look outward. Whose fault is it? It's everyone else's fault other than what could I have possibly done? Anyways, I just think this episode is special. Changing the guard. We're starting fresh. Let's get into it. I would like to thank my co-host for being here. We have our emotional support chocolate bunnies. They're always with us. And just so I'm not alone in this bit, um, definitely a thought from my producer. Hi, Kelsey. We also have our basketball in here as we get into it. Kelsey's been trying to get rid of this puppy, but it's staying. It's keeping me grounded. You know, like that movie, A Few Good Men, when Tom Cruise is holding his baseball bat, get his thoughts going. I got my basketball. So the changing of the guard. Today's episode is about how the differences in the NBA now that the offseason has taken shape. Um, we've had a lot of trades in guards. We've had a lot of new identities for teams, especially in their guard position. Um, let's pull up my notes here. I tried to get a little stats for y'all just so I can stay organized. So our first little bit, I would definitely say that the biggest improvement team for me, unfortunately, I hate to say it, was the Philadelphia 76ers. Let me get the names right. We have Mike Gansey and Jameer Nelson, 43 and 44 respectively. Just shows you that a new wave of young people can come in and really change shape. Um, what Philadelphia has done, and again, I want to hate Philly just because I always have with their sports, even though I'm a little Delaware boy now. Um, but you got to admit that they just had an incredible offseason. They traded for Jaylen Brown, a Boston guy who I've never liked. And then they also signed Dean Wade. But, anyways, I just want to focus on how the changing of these guards now has changed. So, bear with me here. Philadelphia now has Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, and BJ Edgecombe as their big three. Jaylen Brown is 29 years old. He played 71 games, averaging 28.7 points. Tyrese Maxey's 25 years old, played 70 games, and averaged 28.3 points. And their young kid, BJ Edgecombe, who's 20 years old, played 75 games, averaging 16 points. That brings Philly's big three to average 72 points a game. That is incredible. That is a true big three. And that's not including, that's their guard. These are positions that can dish it, shoot it, and you're showing that they didn't at an elite level. These guys are young. These guys play games. So that's definitely something to watch out for. Now, as Boston takes their changing of the guard, they traded for senior citizen Paul George, which brings their big three to, bear with me, Jason Tatum, who's, I believe, 29. He played 16 games from his injury, averaged 21.8 points. Paul George, 36 years old, played 37 games last year and averaged 17.3 points. And the trade between Boston and Philadelphia, I think, will go down as the worst trade in NBA history. That Now, of course, it's all relative. The perspective is changing. Obviously, new evidence comes and changes. We obviously had the Luka trade, but I think you saw that Dallas was able to, whether it was rigged or not, get the number one pick out of it. And then, they're still trying to, I think they have a wave of an identity that they're trying to do. Obviously, Dallas is a joke. You just saw firsthand getting rid of Jalen Brunson and how that aged not well. But just in what they were able to give up and then get. And now Boston decided to, for some reason, trade your youngest, best star, who's stayed healthy, put up points consistently, for a bag of Sour Patch. I love Sour Patch, but it's not enough. You I want to understand like what you truly were thinking. I was saying to some friends in text that, did Jalen like fuck Brad Stevens' wife? Because the contract's big, but there's a lot of big NBA contracts. There's a lot of sports big contracts that teams have been trying to get out of, but they just don't. And you do it for what? Like, if the market's that dried up, then just keep them. Was there some sort of beef between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? I got to be honest. I think I know who's better. Um, yeah, Jaylen Brown could do some shit with his hair, go to Turkey, get a transplant, not spray on marker that gets on everyone's jerseys. But truly, if you just go on talent, again, I'm speaking as a recovering Bulls fan, now a Knicks fan. Yeah, just a really tough one for me. But let's get back to it. So Boston has Paul George. He has just played 2/3 of the games in 3 of his last 7 seasons. So that is playing an average of like 55, 56 games, and he's done that 3 times in the last 7. 2/3, I think, is big for me because it just kind of is that kind of point. I think 1/3 of games always come down to that fourth quarter magic, kind of just stupid shit, the fouls that are called, some just the magic, all right? But 2/3 is the grit, the teamwork, the skill all coming into it. Um, and then the rest are just kind of up by chance, in my opinion. All right. That's my hot take. Obviously, I'm not a sports guy. I am not sponsored by anyone. I'm just kind of doing my thing on this podcast. But special again, guys, video and audio. We're getting both. So you're gonna be able to see it. Um, so you have now with their big three, you're gonna have Paul George, Jason Tatum, I would say Derek White, and my favorite, Pussy Pritchard. I did see some shit that Boston believes that little bitch Peyton Pritchard, I call him Pussy Pritchard. Um, he's 28 years old, um, averaging 17 points. Did see something that Boston thinks that he's their little Jalen Brunson, that he's going to do something. He's their up and coming star. If you look at this guy, please go ahead and prove me wrong, bro. But you don't even look good while doing it, man. I mean, come on. Um, but anyways, let's just give Boston 4, not 3, that I just gave Philadelphia. We're giving them 4. All 4 of those combined is 72. And that just takes, that was the big 3 of Philadelphia. Now put some comparison in the rest of the league. My mention points are going to be who's kind of changed in the NBA. And Minnesota is up there for me. Minnesota added LaMelo Brawl, one of the Ball sisters. Now, I just think that Melo is talented in his way. He gets in his own way, but he still has the ability to be a pure shooter, as I've said on this platform before. Um, and so, and now since they secured him, my boy Ayo Dosunmu, who got his motherfucking bag, good for him. Again, he is the reason why the Bulls lost me. I've always loved that guy from his college days, went to my hometown team, and the Bulls just have continued to blow it up. I couldn't even mention the Bulls' big 3, big anything, roster, anything, because I can't even name their roster other than the Diddy Giddy. Like, come on, man. So yeah, that's why, yeah, go Bulls. The fuck. Anyways, so Ayo Dosunmu, who was traded to Minnesota, is a guard on Minnesota to be paired with Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball. Anthony Edwards, 24 years old, Melo, 24, and Ayo Dosunmu's 26. Anthony Edwards, 28.8 points a game, Melo, 20.1 points a game, Ayo, 14.8 points per game. That brings their big 3 total to 64. And I think that's big to note. I think that they are still kind of working themselves through. McDaniels is a huge piece for them, not a guard, but a huge piece for them. And we'll see if Rudy Gobert has anything left in him at the ripe age of 68. Just kidding. But yeah, Minnesota, you can see that different teams. I think it's really good for the league that's trying to have multiple big markets, and you're seeing the difference in a perennial franchise such as Boston that's now decided to take a step back. and give their changing of the guards, passing it over to the rest of the league. Um, Also to note, Portland, who traded for gun in his pants Ja Morant. So their big three is Dame Time, 35 years old, 24.9 points a game. Gun Boy, 26 years old, 19.5 points a game. And Shaden Sharp, who's 23 years old, 20 points per game, bringing Portland's to 65. Um, And so, yeah, that's why my big theme is changing of the guard. You're seeing that, I mean, you saw it firsthand. I think that San Antonio, credit to them. I think that Victor Wembanyama is a dirty joke of a player who I have no respect for. He's lost all my respect. And it's going to take a lot for him to earn it back, because he's been handed this power platform that he's chosen to put a taint on. Anyways, don't want to digress, but you're seeing with San Antonio, their presence of their big four guards, and just how strong that was, between like Castle and Fox and Champagnie and Vassell. Like these guys, um, were strong. I mean, these are just, and I think we've seen it a couple times in the last couple decades in basketball, and just how important the guard position is in basketball. So this offseason has now kind of proven that as we've taken flight. Um, and now you're also seeing the other big trade that went down was Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Miami Heat. Now, I think that's a little bit different because he's not a guard, and Miami has chosen to put their own spin on the ball, with having Bam and uh, Giannis. Now, both of those two, hold on, let's go back to my stats, are 47 points per game as a big two, which is pretty impressive. They got size, they got board ability. It's just about Giannis's health, and also about where does where do they fit in now as I talk about the guard, and now they don't really have a guard per se, and they're now focusing on the big man action, similar to Washington. Now, Washington is definitely interesting. Rather than focusing on the guard position, which there's still time, they also did their own spin. They traded for DeAndre Ayton, um, to either pair with AD and Trey, or they trade AD. But it's kind of like, are you trying to do your own big man action there? I don't think either of them sit on the bench. I would try to keep them both on the floor, but who knows what they try to do. But the Wizards also made a move today by hiring Steve Clifford and Patrick Ewing. Those are big swings. Those are, I think, very special men in the NBA for coaching. So both of those guys will join their coaching staff. So big swing is Washington moving into the picture. Now they still have a lot to do. Um, I think a lot of these teams have a lot to do, but definitely a crazy NBA offseason. And obviously, our wild card is LeBron James. LeBron James has decided to bring us back a couple decades and try to have another decision. We're going to have an ESPN broadcast of LeBron James announcing where he will go. Will it be the Miami Heat or the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Philadelphia 76ers, the Knicks, the Warriors? Like, what the fuck, bro? Are you going to put on a suit and sit down with Stephen A and tell us where you're going? Or, like, are you just going to, like, what are you doing? I mean, he announces that he wants basketball happiness, which I gotta be honest, like, now granted, I can't speak, like, I couldn't tell you what basketball happiness looks to for LeBron James. I think that we, as fans, have our own version of what happiness looks like for us in the LeBron James sweepstakes. Um, but yeah, I just like from hearing his teams, I'm kind of not understanding because I think in a lot of ways you saw the changing of the guards of the Lakers, passing the torch from LeBron to Luca. And now Luca requesting his big men. They paid a fucking pirate load for Kessler. Whatever. Um, I don't think it's enough. But you see, then they gave a lot of. They gave the bag to Austin Reeves, and so you're kind of seeing that. Was it just a way of, hey, let me push out um, LeBron, and so LeBron's happiness is in the form of playing time, or just about the star. I don't think the Lakers ever embraced LeBron the way that he wanted. I think he, in a lot of ways, was like, I want to be the face of a Mecca franchise. And of course, the Mecca franchises, in my opinion, is the big market teams that you're seeing with sports, the Boston, the New Yorks, the LAs. Um, and so he went to his big city market and they just couldn't embrace him. But honestly, you were trying to take the torch from Kobe. And of course, I love him, but that Mamba mentality, LeBron, you just don't have. So you're not going to be able to get the torch. So is that what he's looking for? And of his teams, I think, honestly, I think the best fit for him is Cleveland, because you get to fit in with Spida and James Harden, who's got veteran experience, and you created the Cleveland Cavaliers. You brought the Cleveland Cavaliers up from the ashes like the Phoenix, which credit to you, bro. Like you cannot take that away from LeBron. But you were that face in Cleveland, and now going back, you'll be able to do that. Um, yeah, Miami, I don't, I think there's just too many question marks. I don't know how it went down with Eric Spoelstra, and now going to a team with Giannis who can't stay healthy, you're probably just gonna rot over in Miami. Um, Especially as the East takes shape and being much stronger. But you can go, and then it's like, why would you want to go to, I've heard that Philadelphia is on his list, and it's like, why? I just gave you the ages and the points, and it's like, you're not there. Now, granted, you can create a big 4 or 5, whatever the fuck Philadelphia would have then, but you can't, in good faith, say that these other guys who are averaging 60 plus points, or 70 points as a big three, 72 points as a big three, is really needs that, and that your then happiness is going to be what? Because I also think that you haven't shown the mentoring NBA style that, we've kind of seen. I think it was just a failed experiment with your son. It was sad that you had to make your decision to leave the Lakers the day after Bronny's contract is guaranteed, almost to force the Lakers to give him his money because you knew what your son was not good enough, or you. So it was like almost like, okay, let me make sure that Bronny gets his bit before I leave because they might get rid of Bronny. And it's like, you want Bronny to stand up on his own. Even as a father, you cannot ever let go. And it's about like in mentoring, I feel like there's teaching and then letting go. I talk a lot about in my nursing career, just how passionate I am in precepting. And so you just see these versions of leadership and mentoring, and I don't see it in LeBron. And so I don't know if a fit with a young team is really there. Everyone wants to dream of him in San Antonio. He's, if anything, you're just going to make Victor Wembanyama worse because Victor Wembanyama is a fucking shit ass human being and does not actually value the game of basketball that I and others love. So yeah, that's my spiel. That's my changing of the guard for the NBA. That is the first topic today. The other two want to fit with my theme of the changing of the guards. Eventually, I'm going to learn how to do those switching of topics on the thing and do little fancy graphics, but we take it one step at a time. But we are you're seeing me. You're able to see me if you want to see me. But the other two things is also to recap for my Bravo fans. Summer House is doing their own changing of the guards. The cast is making their changes. You are seeing Wes Wilson and Amanda Batula out on the cast. Who knows who's going to be in? We know that Lindsay's still going to play Mama Bear, do her back and forth. Kyle, Kyle's probably going to now be the star of the show. We're going to see, just like we saw before, single crazy Kyle. Honestly, I'm kind of here for it. I'm not on the Kyle Cook hate train. But you're also seeing last season's Ben, KJ, um, Dara, and Levi out. Ben, they said, just didn't really connect with the cast and bring his piece to it. I think Levi didn't have a story arc to her, also with the connection, and then KJ with his mental health struggles, which I I pull for him. I root for him. And it took a lot for him to be open and talk about his spot. And so I hope that I think the public eyes a lot. Um, I'm saying that I'm not in it, but if you want to bring me in it, let's fucking go. Anyways, but it's a lot, and balancing mental health and just being yourself and being who the camera wants you to be. And then just being able to take the backlash of the public is not for the faint-hearted. So we're seeing a changing of the guard of Summer House and Bravo. And then our last bit is FIFA. I want to say that I have notoriously shit on soccer, little poo-poo on the shit sport. I always thought it was slow. They had the flopping, and I couldn't get into it. And yeah, I have to say, I am in FIFA right now. I am loving it. And my big three has always been, see the themes here, big three? Are you seeing it? Hey, Kelsey! Um, being basketball, baseball, and football being my big three. Now, two of the three of those are in their off season, and so maybe I just like am subbing in. But I'm here for FIFA right now. I think there's been good speed. I think they've let them play. I can't. Is flopping still a thing? Yes, but I can't sit here on this platform and say I the flopping takes me away from the game when you have the shy Julius Alexanders that you have in the NBA. It's every shot just oh well, bring me to the free throw line. I need 82 free throws so I can get 83 points. But that kind of thing, like the just flopping so I can get what I want. And it's like you're seeing it. You're seeing guys fall down and then they look around. No one's looking at me. I didn't get the call. I saw it a lot today when I was watching France and Paraguay. Mbappe is real, dude. He is real. He's the real deal. But credit to FIFA. I don't know if it's the symbolism behind it and why I'm in it. And it's just like how we yearn for that togetherness, that um, camaraderie, something that can bring us all together in the country and given the place that we're in right now. And so is that why I love it and others love it? Or is it just, have I just been sleeping on this game? Um, so yeah, is FIFA changing of the guard into Will Shake for Money's repertoire of sports? I want to wish the USA go in their match Monday against Belgium. I will be watching, and we'll see where that goes. But definitely very interesting. I am curious to see where that takes it. Um, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I want to know how you think I'm doing, what you'd like to see more of on the podcast. You can see this podcast on my YouTube, Bill Shake. And then you will also be able to listen to it on your main platforms, Apple, Spotify. You can go to my Instagram page, the Fitting the Bill podcast. You can also follow me personally, Will Shake for Money. Send me a DM, hit me up, let me know. And yeah, we have not been on the podcast since May. And we've just been kind of doing a lot. So we're going to try and give this a little bit more attention, try new things, stand on fucking business. Um, don't have any sponsors yet, but I do want to thank my producer, my support, my everything,
Kelsey Petrosky. Hi, Kelsey.
and the New York Knicks for winning it all. My emotional support, Chocolate Bunnies, who came in clutch. Great co host today. And Rise Up Coffee, who's going to sponsor me. Great organic coffee in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, the place to check out. I have an Airbnb there. If you're interested, make me some money in any sort of capacity. That is all. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this special episode of the Fitting the Bill podcast.